Look, for me, I'm somebody whose life was on hold, but it no longer is because I have discovered something that has made me fit and well, and it's all based on the fact that nothing happens in our bodies without receiving a signal. For instance, our heart receives a signal 24/7. It's pumping away 24/7, no matter what you're doing, eating a donut, drinking water, whatever. So our pancreas switches on, it gets another signal when we eat food to metabolize the food. So with lifestyle, the environment, and other possible health challenges, our bodies produce less healing instructions, than they used to when we were younger. But now the good news is it is now possible to replenish these healing instructions, bringing our bodies into balance and preventing us from rusting away. We don't want to rust away. We want to wear away gracefully. My details are in the chat.
Rust is a nice color, though. Okay.
You're color sensitive. I knew you were color sensitive, Joe.
I am. I am. I'm Joe Nicasio, by the way. I've got a free gift for you guys. I'll put it in the chat. It's a download. It's a list of 80 prosperity affirmations, so you can talk to yourself in a more positive way. And Jeff Barker, introduce yourself. And oh, by the way, I am committed to inviting people. I actually did invite somebody who said she was going to come today, Wendy Lyons, but she's at another event and it's running long, so she said she couldn't make it today. But Jeff Barker, introduce yourself.
Morning, everybody. Hope you can hear me okay. My name is Jeff, and I am a bookkeeper and tax preparer. Um, I started my tax business professionally on my own in 2017. I actually got my training through H&R Block in 2013. Started my own in 2017, and then I added bookkeeping about 2 years ago. So I'm still trying to grow my client base. Um, the tax base is pretty steady. In fact, just today's Friday, so 2 days ago, I finally finished the tax season. Had several extension filers that came in this week and got their returns finished. So it's been a busy week, but that's finally behind me now. And now I can just look forward towards trying to grow my bookkeeping clients. And yes, I will be going through my network and see the people who I know their availability. If they're available for Fridays, I will be inviting them.
Just invite them whether they're available or not. It's worth their time to show up. Don't assume people can't show up. Assume that this has so much value that they'll rearrange their calendar to show up. This
All right.
this is a valuable networking group, isn't it? Aren't you guys getting value here? So, there's a cost. There's a cost to showing up, and there's a cost to not showing up. Eileen Dawson, introduce yourself and let us know what you're about. And are you committed to sharing this with some people?
Yes. And I have been sharing it with people. I think this is an incredibly valuable group. Joe, every single day as I'm talking with people and as I'm, reaching out to clients or past clients, the thought that goes through my head is if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. And that's been priceless for me. And I can't wait to have some of my clients have a consultation with you and become a client because I know what's going to be happening, especially as there's more small businesses that are emerging, et cetera. So I teach financial education. I do mostly budgeting with people. And I help people get their income over their expenses, whether they need to get another job. A lot of times it's through decreasing their expenses. And then we get them on track so that they can pay down those credit cards and the student loans and the vehicle loans. I would say on average, and this is something I just sent out to some folks, between $500 and $1,400 a month is what I'm finding that people can channel towards debts in their budget, just in their food budget alone, their grocery, but eating out is huge. their grocery budget, some of the impulse buying like I was having on Amazon till I decided to break up with them last month. And so there's a lot, that's a lot of money. Even if it's $1,000, $12,000 can go a long way towards paying down debts, especially with 25%, 30% interest rates on credit cards. So keep me in mind as you're, in your circles talking with people.
Yes.
Eileen, how can you have sorry, Joe?
Go ahead.
How can you have 30% interest on credit cards?
Oh, it's disgusting. I have a woman that I'm meeting with tomorrow. She put a $4,000 timeshare. She got rid of it. I don't blame her. I did the same thing and I had to pay more. And she put it on a JCPenney credit card that's 37%.
Whoa.
So we want to knock that down ASAP.
Very good.
To me, that's like loan shark category.
It is. It is. Christopher Deeney, introduce yourself. Let people know who you are, and are you committed to inviting some friends?
Yes, once I get past my 5-6 hour sleep a night this week, I'll be inviting a heck of a lot more people. But yeah, I've told a few people. Some of the people from our group know about it, but I think it's good for more. I'm trying to get more local people in our area, the part of the Salem, Chamber of Commerce. So I'm trying to get more people involved with that. We have like our little alignable groups, but our alignable group for our region is like 12 people. Like it's not big. So it's hard for different businesses out here to really connect with each other besides going to like in-person events. And a lot of people just can't do that. So I think these events are great.
It's easier to invite friends if you actually have friends.
Yeah. I don't know. My business associates, I don't know about now. Most of my friends I talk to every day, and I'm talking to one of them here. So what do? People are so busy. That's the hard thing. It's hard for them to jump on and do things. It's probably the hardest thing.
All right. So I want to. Oh, it's not letting me do that. Let's try this again. Share screen. So there's something that we talked about last week, and we talked about part 1. There's different kinds of partnerships. Okay. So, there's 12 people, 10, 11, 12 people in the room today. And if we just think that there's 10 or 11 or 12 people in the room today, we can do a certain amount of business. But when we start to realize that everybody has 500 to 1,000 other people that they know, the 10 or 11 people in this room actually represents about 10,000 people. Okay. And so instead of just selling to each other, what if we actually considered each other our sales force? So last week we talked about referral partnerships. And I'm just going to recap what we covered last week because I want to get to bullet point number 2, which is what I'd like to open up the conversation around. But a referral partnership is when you and another people agree to refer clients to each other. Eileen said, hey, I got some people. I could possibly refer some people to Joe and etc. So when your clients need something you don't offer, you refer it to your partner. So, the nutritionist could refer to the personal trainer, and the personal trainer could refer to the nutritionist, and the web designer could refer to the copywriter, and the copywriter could refer to the web designer, etc. I'm a business coach. We got a bookkeeper in the room, Jeff. So, it's possible that we could send business back and forth to each other. Realtors can refer to home stagers, etc. So we talked about that. Now let's talk about the next kind of partnership, which is the guest expert partner. We did not talk about this last week, but we're going to talk about it this week.
Cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
You're fine on my end.
Okay.
Fine here.
Okay. So this is the guest expert partnership. Okay. You provide expertise to another business owner, audience, in exchange for visibility and lead generation. So I'm a business coach, marketing, sales. I've got all kinds of presentations in the can. how to master the lost art of lead nurturing. I give that as a presentation. I do presentations on
Can everybody
publicity.
hear?
Yeah, we can hear fine.
It's just you,
Yes.
Bob. Bob, it's just you.
You're fine.
So,
Hmm. Interesting.
Christopher
Thank you.
Dini does things on kratom and botanicals, naturals. Al Faber is an investment, so we all have expertise. So the idea of guest partnerships is I'm available to be introduced to your crowd, and some of you might be available to teach to my crowd, and Eileen could be a guest expert to other people's crowds, and Christopher Dini could be a guest to other people's crowds. Patrick O'Flynn, everybody here has their expertise. So let's talk a little bit about this. What are guest expert opportunities? Number one, teaching in somebody else's group program. You hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Are we okay?
Yep.
Number two is being interviewed on somebody else's membership site. Leading workshops for your clients, or I could lead workshops for your clients, or possibly you could lead workshops for my clients if it makes sense. Contributing bonus content to their courses. Speaking at their virtual events or live events, hosting Q&A sessions with their communities, creating resources for their audience. So we all have an expertise. How can we be a guest expert to other people within the group? So why is this so darn valuable? You can provide your specialized expertise to other people's audience. You can provide fresh perspective and energy. You can provide additional value for their community. You can provide content that they don't have to create. You provide credibility through their association. What do you receive? Exposure to prospects, credibility through association, practice delivering your message, testimonials and social proof. It could lead to that. Direct lead generation opportunities and potential for ongoing partnership. So, what I'd like to do now is open this up a little bit into a conversation of who is available to be a guest expert. Like, for example, I just posted, I'll post it again. I have a list of 80 affirmations. Can you share that list with other people? That's a resource that I have that your people might benefit from. So let's turn this a little bit into a conversation. We'll do this for 5, 10, 12 minutes, and then we'll have Will Hanley give his 7-minute spotlight. But what's coming up for you guys? Either just shout out or raise your digital hand. And this idea of being a guest expert or having others be a guest expert. Bob Friedenthal, go ahead.
I used to consult the owner of BNI and his psychologist, Doc Barham, many years ago. And in those meetings, number one, you're required to attend. And if you don't give referrals, you're kicked out of the group. So I think if we can get a little bit more, I hate to use the word strict, but if we get more committed, okay, that's a better term. If we can get more committed to giving referrals, you'll see this group skyrocket. Does anybody believe in that?
Absolutely. And giving and receiving referrals is the first kind of partnership we talked about last week. But we do have a new topic. Thank you for bringing that up, Bob.
You're welcome.
So it would be really helpful if everybody gave and received referrals every week. So the idea of I'll bet Burke Franklin could be a guest expert talking about what he does. I'll bet Kiana could be a guest expert talking about what she does. I bet Christopher Deeney could be a guest expert talking about what he does. Patrick O'Flynn could be a guest expert. Cheryl McBride could be a guest expert. Go ahead, Patrick.
Um, I'm finding, Joe, you're triggering thoughts in me. I'm finding that very often the problem is that some people think they know enough and spend their time defending what they believe they know, uh, rather than discovering what they don't know.
You're pulling my quote out, aren't you?
Well, is that, or did I read that in your book, maybe?
You might have read that in my book, and it's actually a quote from what's his name? Who wrote E-Myth? Michael Gerber. Matter of fact, I will share that on the screen. It's one of the greatest, it's one of my favorite business quotes of all time. Matter of fact, Patrick, I'm going to put it on the screen. Will you read this out loud?
Well, I read, right. What does the successful business person know that the unsuccessful person doesn't? The answer is lots. But in my view, that's not why he or she is successful. My experience has proven to me that despite common benefits, the people who succeed in business don't do so because of what they know, but because of their insatiable need to know more. In other words, are they curious? Conversely, the problem with most failing businesses I've encountered is not that the owners don't know enough about finance, about marketing, about operations. They don't, but those things are easy enough to learn. The problem is that they think they know enough, and so they spend their time defending what they know rather than discovering what they don't know.
Any thoughts on that quote?
That was quick, Joe. You rooted that out quickly, Joe. You have some filing system.
I think
It's
it's
called
a beautiful quote. It's very true, especially in our in like the especially like for me and the type of businesses I'm in, because I'm probably gonna compliment myself. People think I'm young, but so they don't necessarily know what I know until they're in their conversation, and I'll drop a little tidbit and they'll be like, "Oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about?" So it's very interesting. I find that a lot. People think that they're set, they know everything because they're older or whatever, they're rich, they're this, and it's like, no, you still have holes and gaps and leaks in your stuff.
in your
So thank you
thinking.
for sharing that.
Absolutely. Any other comment? Go ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah, I think my belief, oh, okay, my belief is that the curious are more successful than the ones that aren't. And so if we can be curious till we walk off the planet, we can learn as much as we can possibly learn and take that with us. Well, that's my belief.
Yeah. Humility is not thinking less of ourselves, it's thinking more of others. And other people have really rich knowledge and understanding and wisdom, and having the humility to like, I can learn from others. There was a book I read many years ago called How to Be Rich, and it was written by a qualified man. It was written by John Paul Getty, who was at one point the richest man in the world. And he said one of the great skills of an executive is portable ignorance. This ability to kind of say, even if you know answers, saying, I don't know answers, explain it to me. And that portable ignorance allows other people to shine. Allows other people to show their expertise. And, there's something very healthy about not knowing it all. Please teach me. Robert Chun, please share.
I think the having curiosity and learning new thing is the biggest cheat code in the universe because over the years I learned so much from my clients. It looks like they're paying me to give them advice or support them, but in reality, it's been both ways. And I think that's the key to growth. and magic. That's just all I'll
I
share.
love that. You're right. You're spot on. Thank you, Jeff Barker.
So mine's more of a question than an observation or a statement. So I could agree with like the last half of what that quote was from Michael. I know that I don't know much about marketing. So that's one of the reasons I'm here at this group is to learn that. But I guess for me, the part I don't get is how to apply that first part, the part about being curious and my background. How does being curious relate to being successful or being able to grow a business? Maybe if you guys who understand that quote better than me can explain that to me.
Yeah, the insatiable desire to learn more is very important. I know a lot about marketing, but guess what? I'm actively, and I just spent $1,000 last night for a course, okay? Because there's somebody that I really respect and I learn more from that person. I invest in my brain. There's this idea, if you invest the pennies of your pocket into your brain will fill your wallet with dollars. I think Benjamin Franklin said something like that. And like, like there are really bright people. When you meet somebody bright, make an investment. One of the reasons people hire me is I know things they don't. I say 6 months with Joe Nicasio will take about 30 years off of your learning curve. Okay. Because I can teach you stuff about marketing that you don't know. Okay. And when you pour a little bit into me, I pour a lot into you. I'm a massive contribution to the clients I serve. And so, it doesn't have to be paid. It could be listening to a podcast from a marketing genius or whatever. I'll bet you Patrick Flynn could teach you some. We think we know stuff about health. I just spent $130 with Dr. Gundry. He's got a new program. It's a 90-day health transformation, and it's about creating a gut-friendly diet and shop. The food pyramid is messed up. Here's his food pyramid for a friendly gut. I invest money because you know what? I value my health. So I don't just value it with my words. I make investments. So whether it doesn't have to be a money investment, it could certainly be a time investment. But if there's somebody that has something you need to learn, Jeff, then at least invest time into learning from them. And if they got really good stuff, one of the things I think we're all a little guilty of this is consuming the free stuff on the internet. And you know what? Most of the free stuff on the internet is like the first, there might be 100 levels of knowledge, but the stuff people give away for free is 1 or 2 or 3 levels deep. But you're not getting that 40, 50, 60 levels deep knowledge and expertise and understanding. And if you really want to learn something, you make the investment. It doesn't have to be money. It could be time. It could be energy. Let me tell you a true story. I made $1 million and I lost everything in the 80s. And it was painful. Matter of fact, at one point, my net worth was minus $250,000. Actually, when I started the current business I'm in, my business coaching and consulting, I said, I'm going to be a business coach. And my net worth was minus $250,000.
Yeah.
Because I understood a principle. It doesn't take money to make money. It takes customers. And even though I didn't have cash, I had value. I had ways I could help people. Okay. So I put $500 on a credit card to learn from this marketing genius guy, Jay Abraham. And I went to an event, 500 people in the room that paid $5,000. If you do the math, that's $2.5 million for a 3-day weekend. Not bad. That seminar changed my life, but here's where it gets really interesting. A month later, Jay's office called me and they go, Joe, would you like to come to the next event? I said, I'd love to. However, I'm still trying to pay for the first event. And they said, we know. Can you barter? I'm like, barter? What could I do? And they said, we need transcription. So they sent me boxes and boxes of audio cassettes of decades of marketing think tank audio recordings. And I listened to them with a yellow pad and my finger on the rewind button. Okay. and then I listened again and took from yellow pad to the computer, and all of my transcriptions ended up in the J. Abraham Marketing Encyclopedia. Now, yes, I wanted to learn from Jay, but the most important thing was I had a big failure and I never, ever, ever wanted to fail again. So I was obsessed with learning the truth about business so I never would have that kind of failure again. I made so I made the first investment, but the second investment was time and energy into all that transcription. And I got a world-class education because I surrounded myself with genius.
But you
Is
had a
that
big
helpful,
why,
Jeff?
Joe. You had a big why. You had a
I
big,
did.
big why. And you had a belief.
When my net worth was minus $250,000, I couldn't get a date. Okay. I was being judged. I've seen the dark side. Okay. Men treat women like sex objects, but you know what? Women treat men like success objects. Not all, not all.
Oh,
Okay.
get him,
I know what it's
lady.
like to be
Get him.
objectified.
Get him.
So who
You
so
know,
who helped who helped infuse you? Who's the lovely lady behind you now that gave you
I'm
all your
single. I got
motivation and
somebody I'm working
encouragement?
on, but I'm
Oh,
single.
wait, wait,
Okay.
wait, wait, wait. He doesn't have one now because he's got millions of dollars in the bank.
Oh,
He has one lady for every $100,000.
uh-oh.
Oh, for every $200,000. Oh,
Uh-oh. You picked up a new hat, Joe?
People say money isn't everything, right? Well, I learned a very hard lesson is that I am a child of God and I'm a human soul. And I got tired of women looking at me as if I was nothing more than a vibrator with a wallet.
Yeah.
hold on, ladies. You have to explain to Joe that if you marry the right woman, doesn't care what you have in your wallet. Cares what you
Right.
have in your heart.
Yeah. Okay, come back
You know
to
what? The dating
reality, Bill.
scene is terrible nowadays. Everybody's jaded a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
I'm trying to hold out hope here.
We choose
So-
to be jaded, for God's sake.
So look, we got 15 minutes left. I want to give Will Hanley a chance to be his 7-minute spotlight. And I'd really like you to think about each of you. How can you be a guest expert to other people in this group? And who in this group could you invite to be a guest expert to your crowd? So, Will, are you ready for your presentation?
Make a suggestion. Hold on. You want to get more people in? Everybody here,
Yes.
schedule a one-on-one with somebody. Take a look at their LinkedIn profile. See who the mutual connections are and say, who do you think we should invite to the group? If you do it as a team effort, you'll get more people to say yes. So I'm going
Very
to put
good.
my link, my information, schedule a one-on-one with me. I will look at your LinkedIn, you'll look at my LinkedIn, we'll figure out who we can invite. That's why we'll feed off of each other.
That's kind of like how
Very
BA9
good.
does it with that logic. Like, think of like a referral partner if you invite somebody, who can you introduce them to in here that you feel like they could work together, talk, have a good conversation. So I like that. It's a good idea.
There's an idea in networking called upstream and downstream. So people are, sometimes before somebody has a business coach, before somebody needs a bookkeeper, for example, they need to actually establish their business. So before somebody needs a bookkeeper, they need to establish their business. Once somebody establishes their business, so for a bookkeeper, a business coach might be upstream. It might also be downstream. So after you look at people's books, you realize they need help with their marketing and their sales. They could refer to a business coach. Who's upstream and downstream from you, Patrick? Think about these things. That who do people come to before they hire you, and after they hire you and work with you, what do they need next? Those are good referral partners. Who's your upstream partners and who's your downstream partners? But I want to make sure we make plenty of time for Will to get his 7 minutes in. So Will, the stage is yours, and share what you have so we can get to know you a little better. You have the 7-minute spotlight, brother.
Thank you, Joe. How do you allow me to share my screen?
I did.
Um,
I did. Go for it, Will.
So, okay. Can you see my screen?
and Bill Schweber, can you highlight Will?
Can anybody see my screen?
No,
Not
Bob, this
yet.
is a real
Not yet.
problem because I cannot make people host and I cannot enable share. I am not a host still, Bob Friedenthal. So this is a real
Will,
problem
I
we
let
need
you
solved.
share your screen.
Okay, I'm sharing it now.
No. Are you sure? Because we don't see anything.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so do I have to share it on share on
There's
my
a
side?
green button that
Yep.
says share.
Yeah, I see that.
You
Okay,
have
let
to
me
show what's the source of where you're sharing from.
Okay, how's that?
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make this real quick. I got a timer for 7 minutes here. So I'm William Hanley. I coach a 12-week program for business startups based on neuro-linguistic programming. Psychotherapist Carl Jung, who founded the School of Analytical Psychology, said, if one doesn't make their subconscious conscious, it will rule their life, and they will call it fate. So neurolinguistic programming was developed at the University of California at Santa Cruz in 1978 by two professors, John Grinder of linguistics and Richard Bandler of mathematics. They found a way to decipher the subconscious steps used to treat patients. Our subconscious is much faster than our conscious mind, and we're unaware of it. That's why some people say people are asleep, because the subconscious mind is running their life basically, but they don't know it. They don't notice how it works.
Okay, right.
By copying methods of successful therapists, they were able to model the processes of the subconscious and teach them to others. After 4 decades of use in psychotherapy worldwide, they took this process into business. Again, here's more about neurolinguistic programming. They developed a process called success factor modeling. So for over 25 years, their research team interviewed over a dozen Silicon Valley leaders to discover the mental structure behind their success. And again, they created modeling. So the goal of behavioral modeling is to identify the essential elements of thought and action to produce the desired outcome, discovering what is the difference that makes a difference. It is a process of taking a complex performance or interaction and breaking it into small enough chunks so it can be reproduced. The purpose of behavioral modeling is to create a pragmatic map or model of that behavior, which can be used to reproduce that performance by anyone. We model Steve Jobs. We model Jeff Bezos. These are one-to-one interactions, interviews using modeling. We modeled the works of Walt Disney. He's my favorite because even though he wasn't alive, we could analyze his writings to find out specifically his thought processes. He's brilliant. He created the many fantastic methods in business. So from what we learned of those leaders, we created the Circle of Success. And it's made up of 4 foundational pillars. And then we added mindsets, ways of thinking, to be able to create each one of these foundations. So a strong business venture is composed of 5 foundational pillars, we believe. There are many models, of course, but this is ours that complement each other. First, we work with the founder. What are their beliefs? What do they want? What's their vision? So on and so forth. And then we go through customers in the market, stakeholders and investors, partners and alliances, and team members and employees. So in the customers and clients, these are some of the questions that the leaders told us
Now,
were
if you do
important.
this, you are not going to blame me.
Hello? What problem are you solving?
The attorney is
What problem are you
whatever.
solving for whom?
Here's the problem.
What
I
types of
told you
people
about
would
this
you
before.
most be?
They kept pushing and pushing, delaying.
Please mute yourself,
They have
except for
a
Will. Thank you.
Bill,
QuickBooks
yeah, Bill, could
file.
Bill,
I
could you
think it's
mute yourself?
2003 they're using,
Bill?
or something really
Can
old.
Bill, please mute yourself.
Manufacturing company. And
Bill,
the other
Bill,
side
stop, please.
is claiming they want access to the QuickBook file.
Okay, so the other questions are, what types of
what
people would be
machine
most interested in the
were
products or
used for
services
what
that express your
production
vision?
one.
What
and
types of people are
employees and
most
everything
likely
else
to
under the
be
sun.
your early adopters?
It's a company
Then we
that has another
go
company.
to the foundational
different
pillar of
companies
team
that are like-
members.
Can't use the word sister, but
Bill Schweber.
the litigation. What?
Bill Schweber.
Nope. Okay. Story is one guy had a company, he had a partner.
Text him.
He and his
Text
partner
him
were
to
a little
mute
bit on the
himself.
older side. The son,
He's not even
one of
looking
the
at his screen.
partners.
Hey, Bill,
You need to modernize. So you want to modernize? Go start your own company. So guess what he did? Started his own company.
I'll try to talk
Modern
over him.
equipment, all computerized.
What are the core
Going
activities
after
Bob, this is the
high-tech
problem.
government contracts, everything
I
under
don't
the
have
sun.
coast controls.
The other partner, not the father of the son.
Bill, please mute
died.
yourself.
But they're both old. He died. His wife claims that she should have ownership of that new company formed by the son.
Joe, maybe I
A
can do this next
confidential
week.
conversation too.
I can't do anything about this.
That's the
You're
problem.
just
Can
gonna
I
have
re-
to-
can
They
I re-
want somebody to take a look at this QuickBooks and
Can I
say,
redo this next
what
week,
you're
Joe?
looking for
Yes.
is not
Later in the meeting.
here.
Yeah, I'd rather stop.
Let's come back next week.
Yeah, okay.
Very
Bill?
Bob
specifically,
Braden's off.
Get
what
off the
he's
phone.
looking for is not here.